Thompson Productions.
No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jets is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. What is up, guys? It is, what is it? It's June the 2nd. We're in a new month now. It's rainy over here where I'm at. Not really a beautiful morning, but hey, it's a morning. It's okay. It's nice. We're going to make the best of it. See a bunch of you guys in the chat. See Jay Tunnels, Eddie Graham, J Pro Plumbing. Good morning. Good morning. Morning Hustle Bones. Good morning Juan. Good morning Doomsday Cracker. Well, guys, I think today we might just go ahead and just get right into it. Just get cruising into it. I see Gerald here. What's up, guys? I know we normally do an ad. Well, you know what? I'll just do a little short ad read. But I will go ahead and say, go over to doshaveco.com. Use Jose at checkout for 10% off if you want to get that single blade safety razor. But I'm not doing the full-on one today because, hey, I haven't heard from him yet. So just throwing it out there. If there's any sponsors out there you want to jump in real quick. But I'm sure I'll hear from him like a day or two. Just sometimes between me and him both, we're pretty bad at texting each other back. So I'm sure I'll hear back soon. If not, there will be an opening, and you guys want to deal with a sponsor read in the morning or in the beginning anymore. Which, you know what, I don't mind. I actually like it. It gives time for more of you guys to roll in. That way it can be more of a group experience. So yeah, see Hustle Blown's talking about Operation Spiderweb sent off my CAA Spidey senses. I'm sure maybe you're referring to the other free Palestine attack that went on. So we'll get into that for sure. Oh God, I think I hear a cat. No, they stopped. All right, cool, stop. I was thinking I was about to have a screaming cat behind me for a second. But no, we have plenty to go through today. No ad read today. I guess that sort of was it. That was just a quick little one today, but I wanted to get in here today. I will let you guys know, I'm not sure if I'll be in tomorrow. I know I told you guys my AC is out. You guys might notice I'm very sweaty if you're watching the video. Shirt may even come off at some point, so we'll see. But there's a small chance you might not get a morning dump tomorrow. So just a little bit of a word of caution for those who like to pop in for these daily streams. I think I will though. We'll see. It just is I have a whole. I'm gonna drop like basically around 10K for a new ass fucking a whole new AC system because my AC is kaput. I had like a 25-year-old system and I think it just finally died. So yeah, is what it is. But I'm gonna have the AC guy here tomorrow, so I may not be here tomorrow. We'll see. Hopefully it can work around. Hey kiddo, the kiddo ran behind me. So yeah, but let's go ahead and get into some story. Oh, he says I'm actually talking about the Ukrainian drones. Oh yeah, that one's wild too. We have that in the lineup for today. We'll get through that. That'll be in our foreign policy portion as we normally do. So let's go ahead and get into it. 1 second, actually. Let's see if I can't quiet that cat screaming real quick. There you go. Just got to make a loud noise. Now they stop. All right. I'm sure they'll start right back up in a second. All right, let's get into it. What we got first, we got the I know we covered last week. We covered, I think this is our last episode. We talked about the new settlements in the West Bank that are ongoing. Well, here's more statements to kind of solidify what's going on here. So this is Israel Defense Minister Katz declared on Friday that Israel would build a Jewish Israeli state in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. So they're not making any bones about it. They're just straight up saying what's up now. So that's the deal. Just flagrantly flouting, international law. I mean, we've known this kind of for forever. That's just been kind of like, oh, you're the anti-Semite if you say it, because they've never really, they play these games where they never really say it. But yeah, because that way they can deny it, because they've in the past, they've agreed to follow international law and the like, so, which we've covered kind of ad nauseum. But hey, here's another example of them just flagrantly just kind of saying it. So let's go ahead and keep going. Let's see what more he has, more of his quotes on this from the defense minister. He says, this is a decisive response to the terrorist organizations that are trying to harm and weaken our hold on our land. It is also a clear message to Macron and his associates. They will recognize a Palestinian state on paper, but we will build the Jewish Israeli state here on the ground, Katz said. So, I mean, I know we talked recently, too, with these settlements that they were talking about annexing the West Bank as a, kind of a response to, the French and other countries, kind of this coalition of countries against them for recognizing them, the Palestinians as or West Bank, or just Palestine in general as a state. And they were talking about annexing the West Bank. Well, it looks like they just kind of are basically going in and doing it. I know we talked about before, it's kind of de facto. It's always confusing to what degree are we really considering it an annex, because there's kind of always a slow de facto, annexing occurring. It's just a matter of to what degree or to what level of openness the government is having with, being associated with it. Because, it's just silly, like, private-public game they play with these, like, settlers who are private, and then the government, which is public. But they're clearly colluding, because you never see the settlers get in trouble for any of this. And, here it is. Here's them just saying it out, just flagrantly saying it. I know we said it was already kind of a progression from what we had seen before in the last go-around, because it was with the announcing the settlements, it was them essentially giving the government stamp of approval of these settlements, even though it was being done by it. But even further now they're just straight up saying, oh, we're going to make this a Palestinian state. So, So they say that, they can recognize a Palestinian state on paper, but we will build the Jewish Israeli state here in the ground. The paper will be thrown into the trash bin of history, and the state of Israel will flourish and prosper, he said. So, yeah, it's kind of is what it is. They're just saying it out loud. So don't really know what to do with that. Just know, yeah. And on the aid side of things, we have, and I guess this kind of ties into celebrities and the like. We have Greta Thunberg coming to the rescue. Not going to linger on this too much, but just thought it was interesting and something to maybe just at least be aware of happening. So I want to let you guys know, because there's lots of jokes, obviously, and I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I've seen a lot of the Zionists making jokes to kind of like, oh, this would be super, it'd be super funny, kind of like implying like if they drone struck Greta, and I'm like, and then all of the anti-Zionists, like my people mostly, giving them shit and being like, oh, look at you wishing on the death of a child, and you're like, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the joke, depends on the context, depending on who's saying it, but it is kind of on its face. It is like, I don't want that to happen. That's obviously be awful. I really do hope maybe this, who knows, maybe this has makes some sort of big impression. This has some sort of symbolic effect. This like flotilla essentially they're doing to bring aid over there. They're sailing from Italy. I don't want anything to happen to them, but I can admit that is funny. Like, that is like, just at least the ludicrous nature of it. Like, cause and there's different types of comedy. Like, comedy doesn't mean that's like what you want, but like you can recognize a scenario and be like, that's pretty funny. Like it's just ludicrous. And this would just be the idea of Greta Thunberg, like the international environmentalist, like, extraordinary, weird, like little autistic kid, this lefty, paragon of leftism, if she gets drone struck by Israel, I mean, just the scenario, I mean, is no moral judgments aside, that's pretty funny. So, like, I mean, I know a lot of people that have kind of tried to flip this on the Zionists. I'm like, But I know at the same time, it is worthwhile because if that does happen, while it would be like, okay, probably some great memes come out of it, it is like kind of a, on its face, a absurd, thus making it kind of funny scenario. Obviously, in a certain like real sense, it's not because like if you're, it's awful, people dying. But in a certain like abstract sense, just the building blocks of what's going on, you're like, this is absurd. This is funny. So, but I do think it's worthwhile paying attention because while it is absurd, it actually could possibly happen. So I think that's something we should keep an eye out on. I wouldn't be surprised with the way Israel's been acting with the rest of the world, pretty belligerent. I mean, hell, even just that West Bank story, that same coalition was the one that was getting shot at, I believe, in Afghanistan. They had to take cover. So there's some weird stuff going on. So I don't know. I guess I wouldn't be all that surprised if some harm did befall Greta and her crew. So I just something to be aware of. But it is, I can at least admit that it would be funny. While it would be immensely evil for the Zionists to do it, I'll have to at least grant them that it would be funny. So, now, what's not funny, I guess this is an absurd scenario, but I struggle to find any sort of humor in this one. Because, this is just frankly sad. We got Israel kills 32 starving Palestinians in the latest U.S. aid point massacre. So, again, I think was this like the third time this has happened. So, I don't know. Let's take a moment, roll through the chat real quick. See if I miss anything before I leave the chat in the dust before I move on to the next story. Good morning, Nevsky. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Greta looking good, not gonna lie, said Gerald. Yeah. She is getting weirdly thick. It's odd. Someone with computer skills or AI skills needs to bring us the Ben Shapiro, Greta Thunberg Mortal Kombat fight to the death cage match. My money is on Greta. Yeah, she probably could beat the hell out of Shapiro, probably. All right, see more of you guys showing up. See Tower Gang NPC, Eamon Rat. What's up, guys? See all of you guys here. All right, let's get back into this one. But yeah, so another aid point massacre, which is, as we were kind of all predicting, and has been extremely predictable, that's kind of been the sad theme throughout this entire saga of Gaza, is people like myself have constantly, at almost damn near every turn, predicted, so you guys are going to have safe zones. So, okay, what happens when they all get to the safe zones? Oh, are you guys going to bomb the safe zones? Oh, they bomb the safe zones. Oh, you guys are going to bring them all to the south? Oh, what's going to happen when they bring them all to the south and you put them in these little aid centers and are all tightly congregated and starving? Oh, I bet you there might be some riots. Oh, that gives you such a great excuse to open fire. And, so on and so forth. I mean, I could provide 100 other examples of different things that, hell, even the West Bank stuff, I guess, or just the idea of settling. These were things we were talking about during Gaza. I think they've already kind of encroached into Gaza's land. This is something that a lot of those anti-Zion, just at every turn, my point being, is that we just kind of like, hey, this is going to happen. This is going to happen if you guys do, and then it happened. They go, no, and then it happens. So here's another example of such an occasion. Israeli forces have committed a new massacre in targeting Palestinian aid seekers in the Gaza Strip, killing at least 32 people and wounding scores more, the Palestinian Health Ministry said on Sunday. According to eyewitnesses and local officials, Israeli troops opened fire directly on civilians gathered at 2 U.S.-Israeli food distribution points in Rafah and central Gaza. At least 31 people were killed in Rafah and 1 in central Gaza, while over 200 were wounded, many of them critically. So it's 2 separate points. Okay, so there was 1 in Gaza and 1 in Rafah. Okay, so this is 2. Okay, so, oh, Jesus. It's not even just like one thing. This is 2 separate. New massacre. I mean, maybe I'm misunderstanding. But, I mean, Rafah and central Gaza, those are 2 separate locations. So these are going to be widely. So I would assume that these 2 aren't. There's no way this could be the same occurrence. So this sounds like they're describing 2 separate occurrences that probably happened the same day. One of which it seems like resulted in 1 death in central Gaza, and then the other one in Rafah, 31 people died. So then 200 people were wounded, I guess, overall. So obviously it sounds like the Rafah situation was the worst one, but still, geez. I mean, the fact that 2 of them, The health ministry accused Israel of using the new aid mechanism as a trap for mass killings and a tool for the forced displacement of Gaza's population. Which, the funny thing is, I actually, when this was happening, as I just say, like, oh, we produce at every turn, I kind of said this would happen, but I kind of also was like, just kind of point out, like, oh, but they're also directly just saying the concentration camp stuff. So, yeah, I almost just thought maybe, who knows? I thought maybe there was this is actually worse than kind of what I predicted, is basically my point. I kind of thought maybe there'd be a little bit of minor violence, maybe onesies, twosies, people getting shot and killed for rioting or something, but it was mostly we're going to force them into the concentration camp. I actually thought we'd see this maybe later on once we get them hustled into, tightened into this little area in concentration camps. And once that populace started getting a little bit more squirrely and started freaking out and being like, what's going on here? Maybe once the camp conditions aren't really all that they're probably being lied to the Western media as being, that's when I assumed we'd start seeing these sort of things. So they're actually doing worse than I would assume. So pretty fucked up. It added that those killed in the massacre had single gunshot wounds to the head or chest, indicating clear intent to kill. Bear in mind, we talked about recently the guy running the U.S. aid shit, the one who didn't resign, because the other one resigned. There was one of the original CEO resigned, said this is fucked up. I can't have any part of this. The new guy takes over. Oh, he just so happens to be CIA involved in like basically all the most glowy of Gladio shit in the past decades. And here he is coming to the rescue to provide aid to Gaza. Press X for doubt. And then also the reports of the incredible amount of money these guards were receiving or are receiving, and the fervor which they were trying to hire. I don't know. Makes you wonder what the fuck's going on here. And we're kind of seeing this play out. In Rafah, thousands were instructed to queue some 500 meters from the U.S. distribution point at the Al-Alam roundabout. Local journalist Mohammed Garib told Middle East Eye as crowds approached the area, Israeli forces rained down bullets on them from every direction, eyewitnesses said. I was standing among the crowd, but when people started rushing toward the distribution point, I couldn't move with them because there were hundreds pushing forward. So they're shooting on this crowd from multiple directions, and so obviously it sounds like a stampede happening. So then a quadcopter appeared and began firing at them. So we have a quadcopter firing at a fucking crowd. Okay. After that, the Israeli army opened fire directly on the crowd, and America's security forces fired tear gas canisters. So here's American security forces getting in on the deal. Dozens were killed and injured as people ran in every direction trying to escape. Marwan Al-Hams, director of field hospitals in Gaza, described the scene as a massacre and a slaughter. The occupation targeted hungry people as if these aid distribution centers were distributing death instead, he told Middle Eastern Eye. Southern Gaza hospitals were overwhelmed with patients lining hallways and lying on floors due to lack of beds and medical supplies. We tried to save as many as we could, but we lost many due to a shortage of blood, he added. Moss accused Israel of weaponizing aid, saying the food distribution system had become part of a broader campaign of genocide. The Israeli military claimed it was unaware of injuries caused by Israeli army troops. So they're playing dumb here, which is actually kind of weird because I feel like they usually take some level of credibility, but no, they're trying to play dumb. So I don't know. It almost feels like if they just feel like now they're doing the you're lying. I don't know, maybe they think they can play this game. I don't know. I guess in my head is like, is this the new, are they just going to do these massacres and then just keep saying, nuh-uh, and just see how long that'll buy them? I don't know. We'll see. In both Rafah and Central Gaza, eyewitnesses described the incidents as ambushes carried out by Israeli forces. In coordination with American security personnel working for the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, starving civilians were instructed in the early hours to go to a designated point near the Wadi Gaza bridge, ostensibly to receive aid. Instead, they were met with direct gunfire, according to the Gaza-based government media office. Many remain trapped under continuous gunfire in the vicinity of the aid center, the office reported. I mean, the crazy thing is with them playing dumb, it's like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess I don't know. I haven't seen a statement yet in here from them even saying that it happened. I guess I'm jumping ahead of myself because I have, I did read about this morning. I'm pretty sure, if I'm recalling correctly, I think they literally are just kind of playing dumb as if this didn't happen. So I don't know. Similar scene in Fulham Rafah where thousands had gathered overnight to receive food. They told us to go to this humanitarian zone to receive food. Then they killed us, Arafat Siam, a survivor, told Middle Eastern Eye. And the reason I bring that up, because it's like, is there like, I assume there'd be claims of riots or something, but it's like it seems, maybe I'll be proven wrong later in this article, but it seems it's just, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. What? That happened? Well, that's crazy. No way. That's kind of the impression I'm getting here. Siam's brother was killed. The two had arrived at the aid site at 11 p.m. on Friday, hoping to bring back food for their starving children. The Americans are lying to us. Since when have they cared about humanitarian work? He said. They call it a humanitarian point, then kill us there. According to the media office, Israeli forces have killed at least 49 Palestinians and injured 305 others at GHF-run distribution centers since the operation began on 27 May. GHF, a scandal-plagued U.S. organization backed by Israel, was launched to bypass the UN's aid infrastructure in Gaza. Senior humanitarian officials have condemned the scheme, saying Israel should stop blocking the UN-led system and allow aid to flow without obstruction. Overall, Israeli forces have killed more than 54,000 Palestinians in the Gaza Strip since October 2023, including at least 16,500 children. Additionally, over 10,000 people are missing and presumed dead, while nearly 120,000 others have been wounded. So yeah, this is the Israeli-U.S. joint aid scheme that we're seeing right here. The UN has been at bay. They've been begging to come in with their own systems and provide aid. Instead, Israel insisted from the beginning, no, this must be our aid. And then if there is to be any, it must be through us. And then, we've been pushing for it. And so this is a result of it. We were literally just drawing people into an area and, fish in a barrel. I mean, given that I didn't see and hear any sort of official statement from Israel, if anything, it seems like they're playing dumb. I mean, I don't know. You almost have to just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I guess sure, this could be some crazy lie from Middle East Eye, but judging by my following this, it's completely believable, and I think they may have just straight up just be murdering people. It's not outside the. I mean, they've been doing that from the jump, but my point being is without any sort of no pretext. I mean, they're not saying it, but now they've just abandoned pretext and just gone straight to nuh-uh. I don't know. We'll see. It's pretty fucked up. I mean, just brings to mind the suicide statistics that I forget where this came from or who it came from, but I remember like a month or two ago, maybe there were some stats that came out about they I guess interviewed a bunch of the Gaza children to see kind of where they're at and how they're like surveying, and the majority of the children have no will to live. Like they're suicidal. So, like, I don't know. I mean, how can you really blame them when they're literally starving to death? They're being herded into areas and then being shot at, and as they're the entire time starving to death, watching their children, their everything waste away, everyone they love waste away around them. So I don't know, fucked up stuff. All right. And then on the ceasefire proposal side of things, I guess there was recently, I think we probably covered it. There was another 13-point proposal. So they're just doing ping-ponging back and forth proposals right now. So I guess Hamas offered amendments to it recently, and Witkoff has rejected it, saying it's totally unacceptable. Hamas's recent response to a 13-point proposal. So they offered amendments, including a guarantee for a permanent ceasefire. So what was totally unacceptable, I guess, was the change in Hamas asking for a guarantee for a permanent ceasefire, and also a change to the timeline and a release of the release of Israeli captives. Which, if I recall correctly, I believe the last one, the reason why they would want that, and totally makes sense, is because the way they had it set up is that like. Essentially, whenever the original setup, I believe, had them giving up all the hostages and then essentially having a period of time after that where they were supposedly supposed to still have a ceasefire, but there was nothing promising. Point being is it was just kind of like it left them in a position with no leverage. So they're like, with the way the deal was structured. So they're like, why would I So instead, it was kind of, I would assume probably they were changing it here to likely probably have like, you get the last of at the end of it, maybe after something of significance happens. And so they also reinserted language that said Hamas would cede power to an independent Palestinian committee. So, I mean, they put that language back in, so I don't really know what's so bad here. I'm assuming, I guess, the permanent ceasefire. So these seem like, pretty reasonable changes. I don't know. I'm assuming maybe there was stronger language on the Hamas side before, but they're still showing that they're planning on ceding power to no longer being in power. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's this is here's Witkoff. I received the Hamas response to the U.S. proposal is totally unacceptable and only takes us backward. Hamas should accept the framework proposal we put forward as the basis for proximity talks, which we can begin immediately this coming week. And then in the next, Bassam Naim, a senior Hamas official based in Turkey, rejected the characterization and said, "We did not reject his proposal. We agreed with him on a proposal which he deemed acceptable for negotiation. Then we then received the other party's response, the Israelis, through Mr. Witkoff, which rejected all that we had agreed upon with him." So once again, showing Israel seems to be the party here that doesn't seem to want to work with anything at all. Under the Israeli proposal Hamas received, the Palestinian group would release 10 Israel captives and the bodies of 18 Israelis within the first week of the 60-day truce. By the way, for those who aren't aware, at this point in time, all of the hostages are currently IDF members. So and I think that does matter. I mean, these are prisoners of war. These are valid prisoners of war under an understanding of war. So yeah, I mean, these aren't innocent civilians. So I mean, I don't think they should be holding them hostage. But these were combatants. So these are pretty much combatants under any understanding. Hamas wanted a stronger guarantee that the 60-day truce would be upheld and proposed releasing the 10 hostages and 18 bodies throughout the ceasefire and completing it on the 60th day. All right, let's move on. But yeah, so just kind of you get the idea. Just more back and forth, more Israel seeming not to want to work with. But hey, at the very least, we still have people talking. All right, let's move to the Russia front. Actually, let's take a moment and pop through chat, see what you guys got to say. Scrolling through. Yeah, Israel denied this, and I, for one, believe them, said Hustle Bones. Maybe. I don't know. I guess it's not outside the realm of possibility that they're lying, but it just seems... I don't know. Seems like a crazy thing to lie about. Oops, didn't mean to donk my mic there. Tom says they're going to concentrate the Palestinians some neat little campgrounds for them to hang out in. Yeah, that's literally the plan. That's what their cabinet members have been directly saying. I believe it was Smotrich. It might have been another one as well. They're literally using the language of camps and concentration. I mean, I don't think they've seen them use them together. But they're not hiding from it at all, so it's kind of wild. Scrolling through. Greta, save us. Jim says they know the change is in and Benjamin administration is on the outs. They want to place the next administration, so they're trying to act moderate. I don't know who the moderate actor is here, really. I mean, they're not doing a very good job of pretending like they're being moderate, but we'll see. Yeah, what I heard is Israel denies this even happened, but only after they initially acknowledged they did open fire. Yeah, it was something weird like that. I remember hearing that elsewhere, that it was, there was some weird discrepancy in the fact that, like, they said something about opening fire, but they deny this happening, so... Yeah, it's a mix up there. Oh, cool. And Boomslayer says I got a copy of the Chicken Hawk Jose, heavy duty stuff. 100%. Great book though. It's one of those books you just can't stop turning the pages, but it is it's got dark material in there. All right, let's go into the next story. Here we are on the Russian side of things. We have 2 bridges collapsing in Russian border regions, killing 7. Here we go. Local rail authorities in Bryansk. The derailment was caused by illegal interference. Bryansk Governor Alexander Bokomaz blamed it on an explosion, saying the bridge had been blown up. So we have these weird bridge explosions going on. In the Kursk, the bridge collapsed while a freight train was passing over it. The acting governor said part of the train fell onto the road under the bridge, injuring one of the train drivers. So, I mean, they are investigating the two incidents, so obviously we'll find out maybe more in a bit. But these are fishy, especially given, this next story that we have Ukraine targets Russian airfields and major drone attacks. We have more drone attack stuff, which is sketchy, creepy. So, according to Reuters, Ukrainian spies hid the drones in wooden sheds that were loaded onto trucks and driven near bases deep inside Russia. So they literally snuck these drones into the country for this big attack in Russia. So we have the Security Service of Ukraine conducted a large-scale drone attack deep inside Russian territory on Sunday. It targeted several Russian airfields. So the attack targeted 5 Russian regions, including Amur Oblast in Russia's far east, which is over 3,000 miles from Ukraine, and a base in the Irkutsk Oblast, over 2,500 miles from the Ukrainian border. So, man, they were deep in there. Jeez, so they were... Man, okay, so they're making it feel it deep inside Russia. Also targeted the northern region of Murmansk and the western oblasts of Ivanko and Ryazan. The Russian Defense Ministry said that several aircraft caught fire in Murmansk and the Irkutsk. The attacks were launched in exact proximity of the airfields in the region. Defense Ministry said the attacks repelled in the other 3 regions. No casualties reported. Some of those involved in the terror attacks were detained. So they're saying they were able to pull off the attack by hiding explosive-laden drones inside the roofs of wooden sheds. The sheds were loaded onto trucks driven near the bases, and the roof panels were lifted off by a remotely activated mechanism, allowing the drones to fly out. So looks like here's a picture of it. Here's a screenshot of a video on social media that purports to show a drone flying out of a truck near the base. So I don't know. I can't really see it that well. I guess they're saying that little blip there is it, but... I guess the idea being these crates on the back of trains. Did they say it was a train? Or no, vehicle, some sort of like a giant 18-wheeler type thing. So they have these things strapped down, these wooden crates, and then they have this method of opening it, manually while they're driving, and then the suckers fly out and do their thing. Videos of social media show them flying out of a truck near the airbase in Irkutsk. So the attack was planned for more than a year, and it claimed to destroy 41 Russian aircraft, including long-range bombers. Man, all right, this is quite the effective attack. You kind of almost going to be a little bit impressed. Zelensky described the attack as a brilliant operation. So it took place on enemy territory. It was aimed exclusively at military targets, specifically equipment used in strikes against Ukraine. Russia suffered truly significant losses, entirely justified and deserved. Okay, so there's more aggression on that front, and it's, I guess, the war over there is getting creepier and creepier. All right, the last thing on the foreign policy side of things, we got Hegseth being belligerent with China over Taiwan. He's saying U.S. is ready to fight and win a war with China over Taiwan. So we have this fucking goofball causing more problems for no fucking reason. During his speech on Saturday, Hegseth took aim at China over a range of issues, including Taiwan and the South China Sea. This is him in quotes. China seeks to become a hegemonic power in Asia. No doubt it hopes to dominate and control too many parts of this vibrant and vital region. He accused them of wanting to fundamentally alter the region's status quo and said Beijing's behavior towards neighbors in the world is a wake-up call. Hegseth claimed that it was public that Chinese President Xi Jinping had ordered his forces to be prepared for an invasion by 2027. However, that claim is based on comments from U.S. officials and it never has been confirmed by Beijing. 2023, Xi reportedly raised the issue with Biden, saying there were no such plans. So, I mean, just kind of belligerent talk. So in his speech, he said the U.S. is reorienting towards deterring aggression by communist China, leaning into that language, which, frankly, it's kind of just silly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I haven't studied enough on China, but is it even really fair to even call them communists at this point? And then even then, it just feels ridiculous. Like when you compare it to our country, like I know what is it? I forget. I wish I remember the stats off the top of my head. But a while back, this was somehow part of the the news cycle, and I just was curious, and I looked up. I think I grokked it, so I don't know. Take it with a grain of salt, because the AI will lie to you. But I just kind of did try to ask Grok, like, hey, what was the average tax burden or whatever effective tax rate for a citizen in the U.S. and a citizen in China, and it was like a negligible difference. And if I remember correctly, I think technically China actually paid less. Like if you were like an average person, I think technically your taxes were less. Now, I don't. Obviously, you can get in the weeds, and there's probably all sorts of other ways to understand the taxes. But really, when it comes down to it, like I know people can say, "Oh, well, it's communist because its belief system is about redistribution and this and that, and like that's in their, part of their, ideology of the country." And you're like, "Okay, cool," and I get it. Then they go, "Oh, then the U.S. is like they're the capitalist country, and that's part of their, we have the Bill of Rights and this and that." And you're like, "Okay, but like in effect, though, like." Let's say the tax rate of China is less. Like, in a certain real world sense, they're kind of less communist. Like, at least per my understanding. I don't know, maybe it's my simplistic libertarian understanding of communism, capitalism, whatever. But yeah, redistribution. I don't know. I can't think of a better example of that than taxes. That's what taxes are. So it's kind of like the best metric for, I guess, how communist your country is, I guess. If you're getting 100% taxed and your money is getting redistributed to you and everyone else, that's kind of pure communism. So pretty accurate scale, I would think. And if I recall correctly, I think technically by that metric, China's less communist than we are, or about the same. So it's kind of like, what's this whole communist rhetoric? Like, it just feels gay. It just feels like boomer nonsense, and it's just kind of like not even understanding what communism is. So anyways, weird little rant, but it just feels gay to kind of lean into this, because it's her communism. We must stop communism. Like, what even is communism? Like, if you become a communist, like more of a communist in the act of trying to stop communism, it's like, what's the fucking point? So I don't know. It's kind of like the people who like to root for Gladio and be like, oh yeah, that was them stopping communism's influence. You're like, okay, but how did that work out? I'm pretty sure like the whole concept of like, doing all this espionage and letting the deep state lead us by the nose, and essentially being belligerent actors against our foreign nations, clearly perpetrating false flags and stuff. I think it's had a negative effect on us, and probably actually moved us closer toward communism than it really prevented any sort of real communism sweeping the world. So, and if anything, it gives those commies out there, this is why there's such a strong contingent of lefty parapolitics people, is because they're able to easily go and look back and go, oh, look at Gladio, where the whole thing was about killing commies. Look, they were trying to stop us. It's because we had such a great truth or whatever. And it's like, to be fair to them, it's like, okay, I can totally get that. And you're like, well, that was pretty stupid of them. But we were put in this stupid fucking binary between communism or fucking Nazism. And we kept ping-ponging back and forth between which one we were choosing. So, I don't know. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We'll get into, actually, I'm kind of jumping into themes we'll get into here in a little bit between Gladio and some of the other stuff. But let's roll through the chat real quick. But, yeah. Let's see what you guys have to say. All right. I'm reading you guys' chats. All the coverage yesterday was basically Ukraine was destroyed Russia with genius attack. They definitely planned and carried out all by themselves. Definitely no NATO involvement at all. Oh yeah, that's the thing. I forgot to mention. I think. Let me see if it's in here. Pretty sure it's got to be in here, but I believe they say they didn't notify us about these attacks. Oh wait, I jumped forward. I'm retarded. I was thinking I was still in the Ukraine story. We're in the Taiwan story, but I did leave out. I don't think I read in the Russia-Ukraine story that I believe they said that we weren't notified, or they didn't notify us. So that is like, oh, okay, there's U.S. is out, but let's be real. There was probably U.S. and / or NATO involvement, likely. So let's keep going. Seriously, guys, it was all Ukraine. Don't look any closer at this, or even think about it a little bit with a double-digit IQ. Just trust us. It was 100% Zelensky, says Hustle Bones. Exactly. Yup. It's crazy. Israelis know Americans are brainwashed, but don't realize they're brainwashed too, says Gerald Hall. Russia's got to retaliate. Yep. They for sure will. They're not going to play around. What's up, John Black? See you in the chats. Hustle Bones is true. They are not communist, but they are completely centrally planned. I don't know if I could say that's complete. I mean, once again, that kind of is the same. That literally kind of comes back to the same exact rant I just gave. Like, and honestly, I think even then it kind of really simplistically comes back to the percentage. You're like, if you're, let's say you're dealing with a country like the United States where we are, and let's say you have 30-ish something % effective tax rate or something. It's like, I don't know. I think that's also kind of an accurate indicator to what degree it's centrally planned, because it's also an indicator of to what degree they have control over the economy or try to have control over the economy. I mean, I don't know. They've been able to convince 30% of people convince people to give that much of their money up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I really buy that China's really that much more centrally planned than we really are. If you really think about it, I don't know. I think we just kind of hide it a little bit more. Whereas I guess I don't know, because like as I kind of got at with like perhaps their document. I've never even really looked at the founding documents of China, so I don't fucking know. But I just kind of assume their founding documents are sort of commie or some shit. But I don't know. I feel like it's probably not really all that centrally planned as much as. And I think if you compared it to the United States in like kind of like real world effect. Like, yeah, I'm sure, like, if you look at the language of how they're described, they won't ever be like, oh, well, this is planned. Be like, okay, but, like, what kind of leverage does the United States have over this corporation or that corporation? Like, yeah, like, technically you may not say, oh, it's centrally planned because they don't literally own them or whatever, but it's like, okay, but they have immense leverage over them, and they have such an incestuous relationship with them that it's basically centrally planned, and it in effect becomes the same thing. So I don't know. Once again, it's the same thing. I don't know. I just don't. I mean, if you're looking at two countries with roughly about the same effective tax rate, I think it's probably fair to say that generally speaking, they're probably going to be about the same amount of free enterprise or state-controlled economy, or centrally planned or non-centrally planned. I think that's a fairly direct percentage right there. So. But I don't know. Once again, I could be proven wrong. It's not something I've like taken a deep dive on. I'm just like, if I just look at just basic, I'm like, I don't know. And I've heard a lot of people say that's really not as government controlled as people make it out like it is. Obviously, I'm sure when it comes down to something that's a matter of something the state feels like they have an incentive to control, I'm sure they're going to jump in and be like, whoa, we're the Chinese Communist Party, and here we are to take control. But in what meaningful way is that really any different than what happens in the United States? I don't know. All right, let's. All right, Hustle Bones says their currency manipulation, the martial law, etc. We may be a similar path, but they are further down it. Yeah. I guess I'll give you the martial law stuff. Yeah, there's definitely stuff that's worse. I'm definitely not trying to say China is like worse, or I would rather be in China or whatever. I'm just saying I think it might just be negligible. And I think a lot of times we have this like a normalcy bias thing of us living here, and we go, oh, this is so great. And it's just because you live there. And I don't know, we very well could easily maybe go to China and be like, oh, it's not that fucking bad. This is whatever. All right, let's get into the Gladio of the day. We have an attack in Boulder, Colorado. Burns 8 people at march for Israeli hostages, officials say. Suspect in custody. This is from CBS. So suspects in custody after what the FBI is calling a targeted act of violence during a peaceful march in support of Israeli hostages at the outdoor Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, Colorado on Sunday. They say the suspect used a makeshift flamethrower and threw Molotov cocktails that burned multiple victims. Police say 8 people were injured. It was 45-year-old Mohammed Sabri Solomon. Then FBI Special Agent in Charge Mike Mikulek said Sunday evening Solomon was allegedly heard yelling "Free Palestine" during the attack, which, keep in mind, the last one was yelling "Free Palestine." I'm going to go ahead and make an assumption this will not be the last person yelling "Free Palestine" committing such an act that we see going forward. I think we will see more of these. Does that mean I think there's something wrong with saying "Free Palestine"? Or that I think there's, any sort of... Is that me saying I think there's some sort of problem with leftist domestic terrorism? No, I think this glows. But this is very early. This literally just happened last night. Like, all I have so far is like the official narrative. I mean, I do have another tweet that I think will poke fun a little bit at this, I guess, in a second. That, like, I don't know, this looks a little bit ridiculous, but just on its face, just kind of remain skeptical is all I would say. I am very skeptical. I'm kind of holding my breath, waiting for more information to come out. And obviously, I got you guys as my eyes and ears out there, so tag me if you guys do see more information of like what the fuck is going on here. But this is very, very fresh information, so we'll keep an eye out for more to come. But yeah, Suleiman's an Egyptian national. Government officials confirmed to CBS Colorado. He arrived in California in 2022 on a non-immigrant visa. Multiple sources told CBS News the original visa expired in February 2023. The sources said he had been recently living in Colorado Springs. FBI said later Sunday it was conducting authorized law enforcement activity related to the attack on the Pearl Street Mall in Boulder, where Colorado Springs is located. A walk to remember the Israeli hostages who remain in Gaza was taking place in Boulder's hometown at the time of the attack. Two sources said witnesses told investigators the suspect also allegedly yelled, "End Zionist." Okay, well, that's a new one. Victims of the attack include 4 women and 4 men, ranging from 52 to 88. One was seriously injured, with police chief Stephen Redfern saying it would be nice to say that person was in critical condition, sounding like they're pretty bad. Rabbi Israel Wilhelm, the Chabad director. Okay, so we got some Chabad here. Those guys always creep me out. So the director of the University of Colorado Boulder told CBS Colorado the 88-year-old victim is a Holocaust refugee who fled Europe, calling her a very loving person. Another victim is a professor at CU. Wilhelm said, "All right, okay, now I will just go ahead and jump ahead." So I guess that saves one of the tweets I was getting ready to go into. Because I thought this one was pretty ridiculous. This is it right here. I didn't realize they actually mentioned it in the article. It says a Holocaust survivor was among those who burned the suspected terror attack in Boulder, according to a friend of the victim who spoke with 9 News' Angeline McCall. So yeah, I don't know. This is I don't know. Perhaps there was actually a Holocaust. There was perhaps a Holocaust refugee, whatever that means. I don't know what a Holocaust refugee means. It's weird they didn't use victim as opposed to refugee. They used refugee as opposed to victim. This just sounds like someone who, like, I don't know, moved. It's like, okay, you moved in the 40s. Congrats. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe this, like, yeah, I would hope they at least came from like Poland or Germany or something, and like moved if they're going to be using that title. But I'm just gonna go ahead and put a big old X for doubt out there, because I don't know. What was the last one? Was at a fucking Holocaust museum? Actually, I don't think it was technically a Holocaust museum. It was a Jewish museum. And there's a Holocaust victim here. Like, come on, or refugee, or whatever we're gonna call it. So I don't know. Perhaps it's true. I'm just saying. Okay, sure, alrighty. It just glows a little. People were injured were outside the historic Boulder County Courthouse at 13th and Pearl Street. A burn scar can be seen in the space in front of the building. Witnesses say they saw people writhing on the ground and people running with water to help immediately after. They confirmed the 2 victims were flown by helicopter to a burn unit. 4 others were taken to Boulder Community Health. They'd all been transferred or discharged later that night. Did not provide specifics on how many had been discharged. Okay, so I'm gonna see. We should go through this. Obviously, this is gonna be CBS News, so I'm not even gonna bother reading the rest. It's gonna be pretty standard. I think we're getting ready to go into the whole rigmarole of, and Tulsi Gabbard said this, and Dan Bongino said that, and Kash Patel said this. Yeah, yada yada yada. Everyone says, it's so bad. I agree. Yes, it's a bad. You shouldn't be throwing fucking explosives at people. That's generally a no-no in society. I think we probably shouldn't be doing that. So obviously in no way, shape, or form am I supporting this behavior, but this is, I don't know, this is weird. I mean, once again, this could just be it could be a deranged man. I mean, they did say he's from Egypt. I mean, Egypt has a has a rough relationship with Israel. So who knows? Maybe this guy has had a fucked up life that's been messed up by Israel. And it obviously doesn't make it okay, but it kind of can tell you, lets you know what's going on. It paints a further picture, and it's not as simple as just these crazy Muslims or all these lefties with their violence or whatever angle you want to take it. I think there might be some more to it. Here's some videos. Actually, there's a picture of him looking kind of like Randy from South Park with, I guess here it looks like he's getting ready for some Molotovs. And here's the video. Here's one of the videos I've seen going around. I don't know how good this video is. Let's watch this together. Oh, jeez.
Stay.
A lot of smoke. You can see him in the back there still. I think people are just confused. All right. So that's what we got of it so far. I'm going to watch it muted real quick. So we see a bunch of smoke, see a bunch of people. You do see people smacking fire of some sort. Let me see if we can see some people laying on the ground. Yeah, I see someone off the side, but that didn't look like near the fire, so that's weird. But I mean, they might have pulled them off. Okay, yeah, there's someone behind those benches that's kind of writhing. Okay, all right. I was just trying to see if looking for any sort of crisis actor type stuff. I don't know. Not that I think it's anything like that, but I'm just looking. Just who knows? Maybe this might catch something weird. So keep an eye out, guys. All right, let's scroll through the chat. See what you guys have to say. Well, so you go, Hustle Bones. Actually, we're moving the wrong direction while they become more capitalist in recent history, to be fair. Exactly. That's kind of what I was driving at with them. It's my understanding China in the past decade or two, they've almost been forced to become more capitalist. And there's my understanding is there's still, it's sort of centrally planned, but the government's kind of almost doing this backing off thing because they kind of have to, because it's they've kind of learned their lesson. And China's kind of doing the smart thing, and instead of trying to control the world via empire, they're doing it via money. And I mean, I think they're going to fail because they're overextending themselves, and they do have at their core a communist conception of it. But I think they're actually have realized the further they get into that endeavor that the only way they can even sort of do that is if they apply capitalistic a capitalistic framework to some extent. And it's and the irony there is it's kind of well, I do think they're in that way kind of, I don't know, maybe paving the path to them being less shitty. So I know, but all right, let's keep going. Wonder how he got to the U.S. from Egypt, and when he got to the U.S. from Egypt, and how. I think we just covered the time. He's supposedly, I think, illegal at this point in time too. So I don't know. Is it are we leaning into the legal angle? I don't know. Funny how we still have Holocaust survivors in 2025. Yeah, when was the Holocaust? Because that's the other thing. That's why they use the term Holocaust refugee. What does that mean? So when was the Holocaust? Yeah, well, I'm looking it up right now on Google. When did they say the Holocaust was? Year. Give me a year. Year. Sorry, I'm talking to my computer right now. Year. Let me see. 1933. Oh, yes. What the fuck, dude? Yeah, you would have to be. That's why they use the term refugee. I guarantee you it was someone who was a baby or something. Yeah, I mean, because 1933, you would have to be. What is that? So it's 2025, so you'd be 98? Didn't they say it was. I think they even said an age in the article. I think I already X'd out of it, unfortunately. I want to say they said 88 or something. I might have just done bad math there, though. So that would be 8 years short. No, 92. So you'd be 92. You'd be 92 if you were born on when it supposedly happened. So not very believable. But they were a Holocaust refugee, which I bet you that almost sounds like they may have had nothing to do with it, and they could have just been the child of someone who had something to do with the Holocaust. So now you're talking about someone in their 60s to 80s probably that had nothing to do with it whatsoever, aside from they probably have some memories of their mom telling them some stuff about it. All right, let me scroll through the chat some more. All right. You're telling me Mossad couldn't find a Muslim without the Hebrew surname Solomon? Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, Solomon is it's not very Islami. Although I think actually that's not true, because I'm pretty sure Solomon's a major religious figure in Islam as well too. So maybe not. I'm not sure. Scrolling through, seeing what you guys would say. 33 was when Hitler came to power. Oh, well then, yeah, it's not fair to call it that. They didn't start rounding up the Jews till 39. Okay, all right. So now we're getting the more reasonable. Okay, I guess I got the Google date of when the earliest someone could really be like, oh my God, it's all the cost. I mean, like, all right. I feel like probably maybe 33 would probably be an unfair time to call it such, but. All right, let's get into the next story. Let's get into our homie Elon being blitzed out of his fucking mind, just yacked out in the White House. This is from Cash, from old Kenny Poo, Ken Silva. This is from this is over there over at Headline USA. It's a report: Trump cut ties with Elon because he's hooked on drugs. So this is coming straight from Ken. So a billionaire Elon Musk announced this week that he's stepping away from politics to focus on his private businesses, claiming that had been his plan all along. But according to numerous reports from both conservative and liberal media, President Donald Trump had grown tired of Musk's antics, and according to a bombshell article Friday in the New York Times, Musk's departure may be related to his drug abuse. Mr. Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder, a known effect of chronic use. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms, at times reported, citing people familiar with the matter. And he traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall. And then the Times noted that Musk said last year he only takes a small amount of ketamine for depression issues, but the newspaper said the drug habit runs far deeper than that. Mr. Musk had been using ketamine often, sometimes daily, and mixing it with other drugs. According to people familiar with his consumption, the line between medical use and recreation was blurry, troubling some people close to him, the Times reported. I will mention, I do find it interesting that his drug of choice is ketamine, which is, I don't know, probably like one of the prime disassociates there is out there. Just saying, I don't know, for those that hang out in my neck of the woods, that's probably significant to you. And really, the only way it could probably be any more significant if it was something like meth, because meth is kind of almost, I don't know, meth is like, almost inextricable from some of the dark MK Ultra shit. Like, it's almost always rears its weird fucking head for some weird reason. It just seems like meth puts you in a dark place. But, ketamine may not necessarily put you in a dark place, but it does have a dissociative effect where it's able to disassociate you from yourself. So just saying, given, Elon's, generational wealth and some of the weird lore and almost, you could almost borderline say prophecy, you could say, that almost surrounds him. It's kind of weird. This guy's drugged out of his fucking mind. He looks like he's a front man for businesses. He's, fucking taking extremely, he's yacked out of his mind and dissociatives all the time. All right. So he also took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms at private gatherings across the United States and at least one other country. Said Musk and his attorney didn't respond to the Times' request for comment on the matter, while the White House declined to comment on whether it asked Musk to take drug tests. Times report comes on the heels of the Wall Street Journal reporting last month that Tesla started a formal process to find its next CEO to replace Musk. Additionally, the Times reported in December that Musk is under 3 federal investigations related to alleged violations of security clearance regulations. Part of those investigations are focused on him failing to disclose the Defense Department when he used ketamine. 9 countries have raised concerns about Musk, according to the Times. Now, why do I read the story? Do I read the story because I give a flying fuck that Elon is using drugs? Do I want to make drugs illegal? No, I think we all should be able to go to the grocery store and get ketamine and ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms and whatever the fuck we want. Okay, I say that kind of in a little bit in jest. obviously, like anytime I get an argument, it's actually like it's something I've argued with my wife about before. Funny enough, but it's kind of like it's like, oh, so you want people to just be able to buy meth from CVS? And you're like, no, like I think CVS would probably be stupid to carry meth. So like it's really there would probably just be seedy gas stations and the like. And so it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't think this should be illegal, but the reason why I bring this up is because I think it should color your idea of Elon. I think people have this fucking illusion that he's this genius and that he's got this, he's this Doge. He was the guy, the visionary behind Doge trying to save the world. And like, I don't know, maybe there's some fucking truth to that. Just maybe there's truth that he's this super, borderline ANCAP type guy. And he's just like, I don't know. He's the shit, and he's a fucking genius. He's got all these inventions and ideas rolling through his head. But I think there's a pretty strong possibility this guy is generational wealth. He is probably fairly, maybe, I think he might be actually kind of unimpressive. Like, essentially the idea being that, like, I think the American people may have been lied to some extent. I don't know to what degree this guy is he essentially, in my opinion, kind of does the Glenn Greenwald, not Glenn Greenwald, the why I say Glenn Greenwald? No, he doesn't suck off black dude's feet. God, what was it? Who's the other guy? Douglas Murray. He does the Douglas Murray thing. Where people hear the British voice and they go, "Oh my God, he's so smart." It's the same thing with Elon. You hear the weird pauses where he talks like this, and people find that really compelling. Makes you really think. He's really thinking about everything he says, doesn't it? No, he's not. I mean, I don't know. I think we might have been given a little bit of a false bill of goods. Who knows? Maybe he's a really smart guy, but there's been a lot to suggest that this guy's kind of just been the money guy, and he's done a good job at branding himself to associate himself with all these different tech companies as he's gone along, thus essentially dragging his name with along with those inventions over time. But not even necessarily inventions, and none of these things were even that I'm aware of were things that are like new things, but it's like, say, example, electric cars, just kind of, Tesla, even associating his name with Tesla, Nikola Tesla, and then now he's known as being like the visionary here. It's like, is he really, or is he just a front man? Is he the money guy? Because I believe it was Tesla. It was the board people were saying that, like, yeah, he always insisted on always getting his name along with everything, but he was really I believe it was Tesla. Maybe it was one of those other companies. Maybe it was the Boring Company. But he's just the board guy. He was just another board member, which is, I guess, a common theme we kind of hear sometimes from behind the scenes. It seems like he's just the corporate dude. So we're being sold this, super cool, afuera. Here's even the photo of him with fucking, Malay. You're like, cutting shit. And you're like, is he really? I don't know. I think people have a problem sucking off this dude, and I think the writing's been on the wall for a bit. Here's a excerpt from another article. I just thought it was pretty. Actually, never mind. That's from the same one. Here is a video from the homie Royce Lopez over at Revenge of the Sis. Which, by the way, if you want to see him, he will be joining me over in Leesburg for Bohemian Grove in a couple of weeks. Oh, shit, dude. 2 weeks from now, basically. 2 weeks and some change. And it's Bro Grove. Shit, dude. So, yeah, well, he'll be there at Bro Grove hanging out with us. Owen Benjamin headlining one day. We got Sam Tripoli headlining the other. Shane Cashman being the MC for both. But here is a video of Elon yacked out of his fucking mind. Look at this guy. Look at this fucking weirdo. Oh, fuck yeah. Look at that. And for all the people who go, oh no, 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 no. Okay, there have been these videos for a while. I mean, obviously it's not to the degree of a Biden, but it's hard for me not to point out if there are people, if this does become a thing, if this say catches wind and there becomes this whole group of people who go, oh no, Elon, he's such a genius, or if he does drugs, he only does in small amounts because this or that, or no, this dude's yacked out of his mind. He clearly does not have his composure about him at official events. And there are all sorts of videos and other pictures and other times where plenty of us have been saying for a while. I mean, I don't know if I've said on this show. I mean, I maybe I've joked about it here and there. I feel like it's definitely been a thing I've been aware of. I don't know to what degree I've commented on it, but I've kind of been like, I'm pretty sure this dude fucking getting yanked. He's either that weirdly autistic or he's on drugs. Either way, he's not functional. And yeah, there's been multiple occasions of this, and this is one of them. I know. I think it's beyond autism. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely no nonverbal autist, so I can't really tell if these are weird autism things. But these strike me as somebody on some combination of drugs. I mean, I'm take it from me. I've been someone who's done a lot of drugs in my life. This looks like a man on drugs. So. Yeah, which, as I said, whatever. And then your own home, that's fine, whatever. But, like, dude, come on. Get your shit together. He's literally in the White House. Yacked. So, all right. Let's roll with the chat. See what you guys have to say. That didn't even play the audio, did it? But whatever. You didn't need the audio for that. Oh, I already see people saying autistic genius in the chat. Molly, Addy, ketamine, shrooms, typical Zoomer diet. It definitely has nothing to do with Trump just abandoning Doge cuts. Well, that too. I mean, I'm not trying to give him an out either. I mean, I think I think Trump banning the Doge cuts is just as gay too. This just seems like this was all a show. Now, I guess it's just a matter to did he really believe it was anything other than that? I don't know. And then Marnamax says, I guarantee he was a child of a Holocaust survivor. That's how they always justify that. Exactly. So it's a Holocaust refugee, so it was probably a child of one. So just more slander, trying to cause a rift to Trump. I don't think it's slander. I think Elon's a weird motherfucker, and I think I know everyone's like, oh, they're trying to. I mean, and that's not at all to take away from the fact that there were good things that they said, and I don't know to what degree those were organic or if those were ever intended to be the case. But that aside, between Elon and a lot of his buddies, between Elon, Thiel, which we're going to get into that. I've covered Thiel extensively in the show. These are weird motherfuckers, and these are, these are swamp creatures. We're sold this idea that these are like, these are our capitalistic, fucking visionaries out here. Paragons of the free market. Meanwhile, they're like something retarded, like 80+% embroiled in government contracts. They are the government. They are so cool. The government at one point, Elon Musk, tried maybe if you believe his intentions to implement Doge cuts. Which the irony about the Doge cuts in retrospect, since none of them are going to get passed, they were literally a waste of money. They were a literal waste of money. Like the Doge cuts in retrospect should have been cut by Doge because it was a waste of time and didn't do a goddamn thing. So, yeah. This idea that creating a rift, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Two things can be true. Like, yeah, they can be trying to get a rift, and it also can be like, well, it's true. This guy's a weird fucking spaz. So let's just keep going. Trump soy, Elon kick a chat, says Hustle Bones. Yep, and then Boomer Slayer's dad led some technocracy movements back in the day. Yep, his grandpa did, and then it's like, I believe isn't his dad some sort of like diamond fucking dude or some shit? I forget. He's got weird. It's definitely weird. His if you look into his backstory, shit's odd. Yeah, and then you add into the fact the whole, as I was kind of alluding to, the prophecy stuff. Who was it? It was some huge name. I forget the name of the guy who wrote the book about the Elon by the Elon guy or whatever. So Nevsky said CVS already sells amphetamine. Sorry, yeah, that's all the more to my point earlier. But you get, yeah. All right. Scrolling through. All right. What's the probability that Elon has an enhanced Neuralink? Would explain his weird scanning he does. Yeah, I think he probably does. So, someone says Rogan's a bad influence. I don't know about that. Yeah, that's a man fighting the urge to lay on the floor in K-hole, says Z-Rocks, 100%. See, Nevsky says probably how autistic geniuses act and talk. I don't think he's I don't think he's a genius. I think he might be autistic. And even if he is a genius, I don't think, like, cool, he's a genius who hasn't done a goddamn thing, I think. Like, as I've said before, I think he's the money guy. And he's a money guy that glows. This is a government money guy. Like, he's the guy who's been, like, the capital, capitalistic ventures and stuff. Like, that's what he does. Like, these guys portray themselves as these tech magnates, and, like, in a certain sense they are, but in reality, like, a lot of times they're just the money guys. They're the ones who are like the capital. They're like, oh, here's this venture. We need $3 million. Okay, here's $3 million. All right, cool. I made $5 million. That's what he is. So, which to some extent takes a certain level of vision. But if you're working for the government, I don't know. That kind of fucks up this whole profit loss projection that actually displays skill in the free market of like, oh, look at this. Like if you are somebody who is deploying capital into the free market and benefiting from it, that is holy shit. Wow, look at you dudes. That's skill, man. Like you're reading the tea leaves. You're just that tapped in. You're just fingers on the pulse of what people want given your product. But no, but that's not what's happening here. These are government actors. They don't have this profit loss. They have, here is product. Government wants it. I give them product. There's no like, the only other competition you really have is other competitors, and there are other people putting out contracts, and even then there are ways around that. And that's where we get into politics. So, yeah. Scrolling through. No, he's on drugs, but who cares? Yeah, I don't really care that he's on drugs per se, but it's just more that I think it paints a picture of what a weird motherfucker this dude is. All right. Scrolling through. Seeing if any of you guys have anything else to say. I think Elon is more of a flesh bank account and just the face. Flesh bank account? That's a weird way to put it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. I think he's the face. I don't think he's anything special. I don't think he's any sort of genius. I think so. Werner von Braun. Thanks, Gerald Hall. Werner von Braun, which is like a huge fucking name. Keep in mind, Werner von Braun was a fucking Nazi, a literal Nazi. Also, I mean, I haven't really dug enough into Elon's roots, but it feels like I'm just saying from the little bits I've familiarized, it just feels like it probably goes into those same areas. I mean, I don't know his origin. Is he German? I mean, I don't know. Is he South African at root? Where is this guy from? Point being is, like, when you get into Gladio type stuff, or some of these weird, networks, it's kind of like what Sammy always say about how, like, it's kind of like the Nazis never really lost. Well, in a certain sense, when you get into, like, Gladio type stuff, that's kind of what it's saying. It's kind of like, yeah, they didn't really lose. It's like, there are lots of Nazi influences when you peel back layers and you get into the Gladio realm. And Werner von Braun's one of them, and I find it interesting that now we have Werner von Braun wrote a fictional story about Elon, a character named Elon, who helps the world move to Mars because of some sort of, like, incoming, calamity or something like that. That's Werner von Braun making this prediction. It's just weird how we see these underpinnings of Nazi stuff so often. And I don't know. Bear in mind, this guy is, as someone mentioned before, Elon's grandpa was like a huge guy pushing the concept of technocracy. So there's a lot of weird stuff. A lot of I don't know. I just makes you skizz out a little bit when you get into the roots of the stuff, and it makes you go, I don't trust these motherfuckers. So something's weird with this guy. So if you're trusting him, I got a bridge to sell you. So if Hitler was so bad, why did Israel and America let him live to old age? It's all fake and gay. Yep. Yeah, he probably died in Argentina. So exactly. Didn't Warner von Braun warn about the power structure using fake alien invasion to trick us to submission? I don't remember anything about that at all. So, all right, let's scroll on. Let's get into the next story. All right. We're into the Palantir. So there's some weird stuff. This kind of ties in. This is weirdly kind of a similar thread to kind of what I was just tugging on with Elon and his weird. And you'll really see what I'm getting at in a minute. I'm leaning heavy into certain themes right now. There's a certain reason for some of these little rants. But let's go through this. This is from Mikhail Anzalone over the Libertarian Institute. This is about the White House tapping Palantir for a government-wide database of Americans, which Palantir, I know we've talked about quite a few times on the show. This is what I believe Alex Karp and was it Thiel's baby? Thiel being sketchy as shit. Thiel being another PayPal mafia guy, just like Elon. So these guys are, just think about these people, these characters that are kind of taking the fore these days, especially in these very, very glowing realms. Think about them. Keep them in mind. Yeah, which we've been warning you for a while. And think about the Thiel network is just, man, me. We've been saying it. It just becomes more and more true. But let's keep going. So this is in a move raising red flags with civil rights organizations. The Trump administration is working with tech firm Palantir to develop a database for numerous government agencies to collect and store information on all Americans. According to a New York Times report published Friday, a key Palantir product known as Foundry has been used by at least 4 U.S. federal agencies, including the Departments of Homeland Security and Health and Human Services. The firm is now speaking with other cabinet-level agencies. The widespread use of Foundry across the federal government will allow a number of agencies to access hundreds of data points on citizens and others through government databases, including their bank account numbers, the amount of their student debt, their medical claims, and any disability status. The program has caused concern among civil rights groups and former Palantir employees. Data that is collected for one reason should not be repurposed for other uses, one ex-Palantir official told The Times. Combining all that data, even with the noblest of intentions, significantly increases the risk of misuse. ICE, the IRS, and Social Security Administration are all expected to have access to the database. Oh, great. That's exactly what we want. The IRS, Social Security, and ICE to have all this shit. I'm surprised they didn't just lean on ICE. But that's, the funny thing is ICE is, Immigration and Customs. That's going to be what I guarantee you, this is going to be how they sell it. You're already seeing... Keep in mind, you're already seeing the narrative unfold out there of like, oh, well, we need this to enforce immigration. We need this. We need this. We need this. This is where, like, this sort of shit right here is, God, this is why I do really go back and forth on the immigration thing. It's mostly just because it's like, while I understand the argument, and I even like come from a Hoppe perspective of like where you come from. Hey, I get why people would be upset about it, and even the negative effects of just open immigration, but on the flip side, like also empowering the government to essentially perform any sort of immigration actions, especially when they get some sort of like mandate where it's like, hey, we really want this, because there are valid concerns. People go, hey, all these border towns, this, that, this. But the problem is, it's like, this is what the government does. They come in for a solution and they make it worse. So, I mean, they make it every which way worse. So I don't know. This is where I do go back and forth, like, what the fuck? Because it's like, then we look at all the things that have rolled out in just the past couple months on the auspices of border control. Like all of this, especially like all the Israel shit that's unfolded. Like, oh, now we can... If you're against Israel, you can't fucking attend college in the United States. Like, even if you're like you could be a genius student, but if you don't like Israel, you can't attend college in the United States. Not that I necessarily even really am like all that concerned about, but it's just a sliding. It's just the way what they sell it on. So I don't know. And I'm someone who is like, I do think I get where the qualms have. It's just the idea of that, like, anytime you empower the government to do anything, man, they just find a way to just make it, you're almost were better off just not to let them do anything in the first place. You know what I mean? So I know I do go back and forth on that one. And so we see here, like here it is, another example of it. And they're going to lean into this. But let's keep going. In a statement posted on the company's blog, Palantir attempted to downplay its role in the project. We act as a data process, not a data controller. It said our software and services are used under direction from the organizations that license our products. These organizations define what can and cannot be done with their data. They control the Palantir accounts in which analysis is conducted. Since Trump returned to office, Palantir has racked up over $100 million in government contracts, and the firm is slated to strike a nearly $800 million deal with the Pentagon. Palantir is also a major contractor for the Ukrainian and Israeli governments. The company's stock increased 5% after the New York Times story revealed the contract, and is up 150% since Trump won the election. Palantir co-founders Alex Karp and Pierre Thiel have both been confronted over their work with the IDF at Tel Aviv. As Tel Aviv ethnically cleanses Palestinians from Gaza, the co-founders defended their relationship with the IDF, which, yes, they are. Palantir is the one they're doing the fucking murder robots over in Gaza with, which is fucking terrifying. Now, as I've been heavily kind of alluding to, obviously now Thiel is obviously, as I mentioned the links with the PayPal mafia with Elon, and but I mentioned the weird sort of German connections with Elon, with the whole, essentially prophecy and such. Well, now let's get into Thiel, and so how these threads do kind of seem to coalesce. Apparently, Pierre Thiel spent part of his childhood in a German community in Swakopmund, Namibia, where people still openly venerate the Nazis and greeted one another with Heil Hitler. So the Southwest African city remains more German than Germany. So let's keep going. So this is Swakopmund, Southwest Africa. So Thiel was in South Africa too? So we have so we're seeing, all right, once again, I didn't even realize this is in South Africa. So, because this show's typically more of a reaction style show. So here we go. Once again, as I came out with coalescing, Thiel and Elon, both fucking PayPal mafia. I guess both actually originally both from South Africa. And then there's that weird, Werner von Braun prophecy of Elon. Then apparently I didn't even realize in Southwest Africa, or actually never mind, this is in Southwest Africa. So I was retarded. I was reading that wrong. I was reading it as like South Africa. But either way, I mean, it's still in the region. Okay, I mean, I guess we're talking now of probably a country or two over, but still, it's still close. So it looks like we have some weird Hitler, I guess some German outposts, I guess you could say, in southern parts of Africa. Not South Africa. So I guess I got a little bit ahead of myself there. But either way, hey, weird. But let's keep going. So Southwest Africa, Heil Hitler, said the black gas station attendant matter-of-factly to the department customer, raising his right arm to the traditional height. Man, what a wild... all right, he offered the outdated salute after a pleasant conversation in which he explained the fluency of his German by the fact that his father had been a Feldwebel, or sergeant in the German Imperial Army in this former German colony. It appeared not to be joke, but rather a greeting that he exchanged before with German customers. All right. So when I first came here, the German girl at the reception desk of the Hansa Hotel said, "I could hardly believe it. This place is more German than Germany." Swakopmund was a coastal resort built for the refreshment of colonial society from the heat of Southwest Africa's interior. South Africa, which concurred in concurred, what a fucking weird word, don't know what that means, in 1915, has built its own buildings in this town in which 7,000 whites live. A comparable number of blacks and coloreds are housed to the other side of the tracks, but South Africa's influence has not changed the town's Wilhelmine appearance. So when they say, okay, now I'm confusing. They're saying South Africa again, so they're just saying they're being influenced by... All right, let's keep reading. A strong Nazi movement existed in Southwest Africa until the Germans were interned during World War II, and vestiges strengthened by Nazis who took refuge here after the war survive. The dream of restoring the Sidwest that used to be while The rest of the world is considering how long it will be before South African ruled territory will become a free country with 765,000 black citizens taking over the government from 100,000 whites. So actually, maybe they are talking. I'm very confused if they're talking about South Africa here. It's confusing to have a country named after being called a directional region of a continent. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. It's confusing me. Like, are you talking about the southern region of Africa? Or are you talking about South Africa? I'm so confused. So either way, they're talking about, I guess, a similar region. If they are talking about South Africa here, then that is even more significant because obviously that's where Elon's from. So that's and then these guys go on later to become little PayPal buddies, and now we're both huge names in the Trump administration. So here's Peter Thiel, I guess, invited Milo over for a private dinner after clips leaked of him throwing a Nazi salute and talking about how it's okay to bang boys. Another time, Thiel had Kevin Diana over, who previously dubbed the creation of an ethno-state the great dream of the white republic. Okay, so May 2016, after he turned down an offer to appear on Breitbart News' editor Milo's podcast, Thiel invited the provocateur to have dinner at his home in Hollywood Hills the following month. Oh man, if walls could talk, I mean, I know Milo himself has admitted that he's seen some wild shit, but he's even himself saying, "Oh, I don't talk out of turn." So like, okay, All right. So Yarvin talks good about him too. He's fully enlightened, just plays it carefully from Yarvin. I don't really know the significance of this other than I think Booty doesn't like these people. I know Booty doesn't really like Milo. I mean, I don't remember Milo throwing a Nazi salute. I like Booty, but he does kind of obviously come at it pretty lefty. So I don't know where he's coming at with. I don't remember Milo ever saying it's okay to fuck boys. I mean, I know he's talked about. I mean, I know Elon or what, didn't he, like, he got molested or some shit? I know he talked about I forget the specifics. Maybe he did frame it that way as being like it's okay. If I recall correctly, he did frame it as like this is a thing that happens. Maybe you could say he said it was okay. I don't know. It's one of those things I always thought was kind of fucked up. People gave Milo shit about it, I guess, because it's like this was a dude got like molested, and then like I don't know, I guess he just didn't feel like a victim about it, which. Obviously, I don't like. I do think he was a victim, but I don't know. It just feels weird to be like for people. It almost feels like people are upset that he didn't feel like a victim. So we're like, because he was just kind of like, yeah, this is just what gay people do. And you're like, oh, dude, you got fucking molested, man. That's wild. And you're like, no, this is normal. Like that's how it came over to me. But anyways, so I was just trying to think if there's any sort of significance of that. I don't know who Kevin Diana is, so I don't know the significance of that either. But let's read this. Maybe you guys know who that is. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we're talking about ethno-state stuff. Okay, so this is maybe he's like one of those people associated with like Richard Spencer is who Diana is. So scrolling through this. All right, I don't know what the significance of that. I'm sorry, Booty. I think you might be reaching a little bit with these ones. Not that I really particularly like any of these people. I don't know what your purpose. I think he's trying to get at something about him wanting to make an ethno-state. Because I know Thiel has talked about making like micro-states and stuff. And I think there is perhaps some weirdness there. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if maybe I'm missing some significance here. Okay. I'm scrolling through chat, see if there's anything. All right, whatever. I don't think there's anything else that I find particularly significant. I just think it's interesting that in this thread that he was in fucking he was chilling over in some weird I'm retarded. I jumped over to the wrong thread. That's why it didn't seem to have anything to do with it. Here we go. HuffPo article seems to validate the Weave and Cerno claims. This is some other thread. A Thiel-funded Nazi milieu that also includes Charles Johnson. The careers of Clearview. All right, this is getting too deep in the weeds where I don't even know what the hell some of this stuff's talking about. All right, let's move on. I just wanted to show you guys that it was wild that this Thiel came from some area where it's like this weird little vestige of old Germany, which apparently this is like a thing. There are these weird little areas around the country, a lot of them in South America, particularly Argentina, where they have these little areas where they're like, oh, guten Tagen, and these sort of people just lurking about, and just like you took a portal over to mid 1900s Germany. All right, let's roll through the chat. See what you guys have to say. Man, it's getting hot in here. Yes, Jose Von Braun did warn against Project Bluebeam. Okay, that's interesting. That's from Gerald Hall. All right. Scrolling through. All right, you guys are just talking about some weird stuff. Namibia is not South Africa. There you go. Cool. All right. Yeah, it's the way that was worded was weird. Someone says Seven Seeds was connected to PayPal, Thiel, Elon, and more people. And I saw it's a big club, and yes, we're not in it. I'll have to check that one out. I bet he did a good job with that one. I have a feeling there are probably lots of weird Germany and Hitler and Nazi ties if we really followed those two. Namibia has a decent population of white farmers like South Africa does. Okay, so that's the significance of saying the influence to South Africa. Nothing makes one more Nazi than living in Africa. Scrolling through. Oh wait. Oh yeah. Oh, you guys are talking about Milo now. They're saying he said he was a predatory child. Yeah, because I remember that was his claim. Because I remember he got. I think it was when he was talking about getting molested by a priest. He like put it as like, oh, I was the predator kind of deal. Like so, which I don't know. It's a very. I mean, obviously it's weird, but it is kind of like seems like someone coming to terms with, oh yeah, I got diddled. So. Yeah, exactly. So Milo was saying he was the predator, not the victim, when he got touched by a 36-year-old. Yeah, so like, obviously I don't agree with that sentiment, but the context given that the guy, was molested, it's kind of like, okay, it's a little bit different. Wait, what? Elon's father has 2 children with his stepdaughter. Holy shit. Okay. First child was born when she was 17. Okay, well that's insane. Okay. All right, let's scroll. All right, let's get into the next story. We're off from Thiel. Let's talk about women and why they shouldn't be given power ever. Here is Nancy Mace. Apparently, she is. It looks like she may be using the Congress to essentially, I don't know, settle old scores with lovers. So let's check this out. This is under oath. Former Nancy Mace strategist says South Carolina Congresswoman asked him to blackmail her ex, which those who have been paying attention, I know the recent news with her is like she showed herself naked on security camera or something and made a big deal about it. Although I don't think it was like super blurry, you couldn't see anything. It was like a real quick frame, but it was kind of this, she's like claiming she was being like sextorted or something. I forget. I don't even really know what but the more that I look into this, the more it looks like, oh, it's not at all the way she's framing it, like she's some victim. And perhaps this broad was philandering around, and I don't know, things happen as a result. So let's keep going here. This is, we have an excerpt of the trial here. So this is her agent, and so there goes... So, she then said she was going to the Caribbean with Patrick and some of his friends, which I questioned because I said, Nancy, you can't say you fear for your safety and you're going to the Caribbean with him and some of his friends. Then she said, I remember as clear as day, I'm taking my free vacation to the Caribbean. And she said while she was there, she was going to try to get more information out of his phone. And I told her that she needs to contact the authorities. And she asked me why. And I said, because, Nancy, I remember as clear as day. I said, Nancy, as your campaign consultant, if it ever comes out that you knew of women being harmed and you didn't do anything about it, your career is over. But also, it's just the right thing to do. And then the person goes, so I was like just responding, yes. And then he goes, and she said, I'm going to use this information to get my houses. So here's very clear. Obviously, it seems she's, the way whatever she claimed, it does seem she's claiming to her agent that there was some sort of victimization of some sort occurring. Because obviously he's trying to be like, hey, you should call the cops. You should do this, that. I mean, obviously the way this looks from the outside looking is that she's kind of being a bit of a liar and trying to take some guy for some sort of ride. I don't know exactly what happened, but either she's lying or wasn't really all that bad or whatever. Either way, does feel like scummy behavior that she's going above and beyond in a, still hanging out with this guy. She's clearly like, she's talking about whoever this guy is. She's going on trips, going to the Caribbean with him, and it's an opportunity to try to go through his phone and to try to essentially make a bit to essentially the only reason she was even doing it, according to her, was just essentially being a conniving woman so she could have more ammo to, as she said, get her houses. So this is what we're dealing with. Yeah, this is wild. This is the way she framed this. She goes, since Wired has decided to write about my dating life, let me be clear. I am married to my job and in love with South Carolina. So she does this shit. So I didn't read this whole article. I mean, we probably could go through together, but I'm assuming this stuff is probably in that article as well. So, I mean, I haven't read that one, and this one is from Palmetto Politics that they showed. But either way, it's like, so they wrote about her dating life, and it seems like this Brian Musgrave guy perhaps has had something to do with her love life. I don't know the situation here, but here we are, and we have this broad, framing this differently. Go, oh, I'm married to my job, and I'm in love with my state. So she just does these dumb things where she just has some cliche little statement. Like, hell, she's, I think, I want to say at least, maybe, I think it's happened more than once now, where, like, she's had those people that, like, stop her and put like a mic in her face, and she goes and she just like and then have brought up stuff about like the blockade over in Gaza, and she'd just be like, you guys support Hamas, you support Hamas, you support Hamas. Like, she doesn't know how to do anything other than operate in slogans, basically. So, oh, I'm married to my job and in love with South Carolina, when it's like, I don't know what's in that Wired article, but I have a feeling it probably goes a lot more into stuff like this. And so like, they're just putting out smut about my dating life. You're like, yeah, well, you're using Congress to, what looks like to me, perhaps go after jilted lovers is how it looks to me, without digging any deeper, because I do not want to get sucked into this stupid fucking hole that is Nancy Mace. So let's roll the chat, see what you guys would say. All right. We need some food and videos to lighten the mood after all this doom scrolling, Jose. Yeah, this is my congressman, says Pixie. Yeah, didn't she show pictures of her naked picture self? I think she technically did, but it was like the resolution was so low, you can't tell. So it was nothing. It was totally just a circus situation. So they were wife swapping, if I remember, is what Jim J said. Okay, well then that all right, yeah. Which that's the thing too. I believe it was my buddy Tyler Yankee has mentioned this in the show a few times. Like, because the big thing is like that why she showed herself naked is because like, oh, there was naked photos of her or video camera of her, and so she tries to frame this as like, oh, this is without my consent, I was videotaped, and I'm pretty sure if I recall correctly, this was somebody's security camera inside their house, if I'm recalling correctly. So it's like you're trying to frame this as like, oh, I was supportive without my consent. It's like, yeah, you were, but you were inside someone's main house being naked. And it's like, I guess it's true. Like if I brought some slam piece over to my house and I had security cameras set up inside the house, yeah, I guess that's probably wrong. And like, I don't know, like assuming we were somewhere where like, I don't know, like prostitution was legal, like, yeah, that's fair to say. Maybe there's an argument you had that should be illegal. That's at least wrong because you're videoing something. But it's like, I don't know. This sounds like likely the guy probably didn't even think about it. If I had to assume, I doubt he was intending on recording her. Probably just had security cameras set up in his house. If I'd assume, and if anything, this is ridiculous because it seems like a telling on yourself thing. Why are you being videotaped naked in other people's houses? Like, what's going on here? So yeah. Let me see. I'm gonna scroll through here, see what else we got. Someone said funny videos. I guess this is kind of funny. This could make you upset too. I don't know. We'll see. Let's play this real quick. This is Trump on pardoning Diddy. I guess he had some words about this. 1 second. Give me a minute. Sorry, that's the audio's not working again. It's doing that stupid thing. 1 second. Here you go. Here you go. All right, let's start to do that again.
Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up. From what I read, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. It's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So it's not a popularity contest. So, I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact.
Okay, well then, so there was just a minute and a half rambling of Trump going about, because it does give you the impression that he's almost saying, he doesn't really like me, oh, he used to really like me, oh, well, he doesn't like me, oh, well, he used to like me, and then just kind of the circling, why he doesn't like me, and blah, blah, blah. It almost gives you this implication that he's saying, well, maybe if he liked me, but even it was just a non-statement. I saw this going around. A lot of people going, "Oh my!" It almost seemed like people like, "Oh my God, this is a non-Trump statement to me." This was him. This is a nonism. There was nothing happened here. Nothing happened at all, in my opinion. There was nothing bad, nothing good. This was just, oh, would you pardon Diddy? Oh, I don't know. He doesn't really like me. I don't know. He used to like me. Maybe if he, I don't know. And then he goes, well, I mean, even if he did like me, I mean, it really depends. I'll have to look into it. So, he doesn't know anything about this case, I don't think. And I think that what he's just basically saying is kind of like, it was basically, I don't know. I'll look into it. I mean, I'm not against, maybe. Like nothing about there gave me the implication that he was for sure going to do it. I doubt he'd do it. If he does, now if we do get a Diddy pardon, what the fuck, I will be blown away. But nothing here makes me think we're getting a Diddy pardon anytime soon. All right, here's something that came from one of you guys, one of the patrons. So appreciate it, brother. This is Larry King of the Franklin cover-up, and Maureen Reagan, first daughter of Ronald Reagan. So here's one of those things showing you it's a big club and you ain't in it. Here is a newspaper clipping with Lawrence King and Reagan's daughter. So it says, ritzy Robin Hood stole from the poor and made himself rich. It says Lawrence E. King with Ronald Reagan's daughter Maureen at the 1984 Republican Convention Party, Dallas South Fort Ranch. So here's that goofball, and this guy did some of the darkest shit you could ever imagine. This guy was, if you guys haven't heard of it, look up the Franklin scandal. He was slinging kids all over the place, SRA, all sorts of wild stuff. And here he is, just chilling with Reagan's kiddo. So, all right, last thing. This is from one of you guys as well, from Rage Child. Let's play a video on with AIPAC CEO bragging about how AIPAC controls national security officials like Rubio, Ratcliffe, and Mike Walls. Let's go ahead and play this, and we'll get out of here. Of course, it's doing it again. My bad. Give me a second. I just realized it's not doing audio. Give me a second. It's doing the stupid StreamYard thing again. My bad. Give me 1 second. Oh, you can say hi to Jeff, guys. Jeff just said hi. All right, let's play it again. Sorry.
We may not lobby the executive, but as we were talking about, there was a discussion.
Should be in it now.
Congress being representative to the people. Well, the White House has to be responsive to Congress, and so it's working with, at the time, our friends on the Democratic side of the aisle to apply pressure the way that they know how to an administration, as it will be with this administration. I was talking about the people who will get appointed into some of these jobs. Look at the top level. You talk about Marco Rubio and Elise Stefanik, and Michael Waltz. Those three people have something in common. They all serve in Congress. They all have relationships with key AIPAC leaders from their communities. So the lines of communication are good. Should there be something questionable or curious that we need access on the conversation to? You never know. One of the first
That was interesting. You said if we need access on that conversation, bearing in mind, keeping in mind the recent Walls scandal.
One of
So let's keep
the
going.
first candidates I ever met with as an APAC professional when my job was meeting candidates for Congress was a guy named John Ratcliffe. He was challenging a longtime incumbent member of Congress in Dallas. And this guy looks like he could win the race. When you go talk to him, he had a good understanding of the issues. And a couple of weeks ago, he took the oath as the CIA director for crying out loud. I think this is the guy that we had a chance to speak to. So there are a lot, I don't want to call them lifelines, but there are lifelines.
All right, wild shit. I think that's it's weird. It ends with like 20 seconds of blank screen. But yeah, there's APAC bragging about to what degree they control our politicians. All right, let's scroll through the chat and let's get on out of here. I'm not sure if Trump knows he's talking about Diddy or Snoop says aggressively agreeing. Yeah, right, for sure. He is open to receiving the Diddy blackmail tapes to go after his enemies is how I see it. Perhaps Jim J. I don't know. I don't think it was that calculated. I think he's just like someone asked him, oh, would you pardon this person? He's like, oh, this person. Oh, I don't know. They don't really like me that much. I used to like them. But I mean, I still like them. But for some reason, they don't like me. Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look in. It just seemed like him bloviating about nothing. So I don't know. We'll see. Trump also pardoned Larry Hoover's founder of the GD, Chicago gang. All right, I didn't know that one. That's wild. So, yeah, not good. So let's keep going. So it's heavy stuff, like you guys said in the True Detective episode. It all threads all the way up. Exactly. You're not going to play an uplifting video? I don't have an uplifting video. Tag me in uplifting videos if you guys want me to play uplifting videos. Until then, you guys keep getting sad shit, okay? Scrolling through. All right, guys. Well, I think we're going to go ahead and kill it for today. Oops, didn't mean to bring that back up. It's a fun time. I think I should be back with you guys tomorrow. We'll see. Like I said, I'm having a whole ass new AC system installed tomorrow, so I may not be able to squeeze in the morning dump, but we'll see. Really just depends on how things play out. So kind of keep an ear out. Hit that bell icon over on YouTube. That way you get notified if I am streaming. Yeah, if you guys want to support what I'm doing, you can leave a like. You can share. You can subscribe. You can comment. Leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. All that stuff goes a long way. So if you do want to directly support, also follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose, especially for this show. It helps out a lot if you guys tag me and stuff. If you guys see stuff that's interesting, stuff you feel like should be covered in the show. As I say all the time, there's so many different threads occurring at all the same time. Way too much to keep an eye on. I'm just one guy. I don't have like a news whole news agency like a lot of these people do. I have you guys. So tag me and stuff. Say, oh, holy shit, this is happening. And that allows me to kind of keep my eyes and ears out there and to cover this stuff. But if you want to directly support the show in the best way you possibly can, you can do that with money over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is just $2. It gives you access to early episodes. I've been doing 1 to 2 a week these days of the paywall episodes. Keeping about 4 at a time or so behind the paywall. And I think I've finally getting to the point too now where I'm usually probably regularly putting out 2 a week publicly of those as well, of the paywall type episodes, the like topic driven episodes. And then you'll still be getting like probably 4 to 5 of these streams that I do. But you get the paywall topic episodes early, and like I said, doing 2 of them now. So I'm upping the public amount and the private amount. So everybody's winning. But if you do want to support, I do appreciate that, and that's where you get that early stuff. You also get an ad-free RSS feed, so you don't have to deal with those pesky ads anymore. And then you also get you can join me and Austin on our weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, and you can get priority to the call-in, and you can also hang out in the pre-show with us. You'll get priority to call in and hang out with us over at Already Dead. And the highest level of my sponsors, read them off every episode. My co-host and Tower Gang at Tower Gang Toad. Also have at Brigadies, at ZLVRECK, at _Seal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, and Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. Big fan of the show, Torrin May. And then Jordan Peterson, I really appreciate it. Make sure you go clean your room, guys. Love you all. Deuces. Someone asked how many cats do I have at one time maximum. Double digits, I'll tell you that. All right, let's get out of there. Bye-bye.